If you've been watching my videos, you know that I have two very presidential spirit guides around me. One is Abraham Lincoln and one JFK. Abraham Lincoln sent me a sign one day in the basement of the house. I'll talk about that later. And the very next day, JFK sent me a sign. He couldn't let Abraham Lincoln outdo him. But JFK waited almost 60 years for me to see this sign. I'm in the house that my brother bought probably about 8 years ago, and it's probably about 60 years old. I'm in the basement. I've been living here now for almost 8 to 9 months. I'm in the basement. I'm in there often in the basement. My head suddenly turns to look at this table where he has a lot of his tools, my brother, and there's a newspaper underneath it. The newspaper looks old. I say, that's interesting. Yesterday, Lincoln. What could today be? Start to clear off, and I notice the date. It says 1963. I said, that's not possible. How could this newspaper be here for that many years? It's 2021 at the time. No, maybe it was 2022. 2022 at the time. Stay tuned. I'm going to add the second part. Part 2, finding a message from JFK in my basement that he put, or he finagled someone to keep for 60 years. So my head gets turned and I see the newspaper. I push off the tools and I see the date. It says 1963. I said, how is it possible? Is it possible JFK, something about JFK could be on this newspaper in this small town in Connecticut? Clear off a couple more of the tools, and sure enough, there's a picture of JFK on the front page of the local newspaper. I called up my brother immediately. This newspaper on the table in the basement, tell me about it. He says, I don't know. I found it in the house somewhere when I bought it. I don't even know where it was, but I put it on that table. So here's 60 years in the making. First of all, the person almost 60 years ago, back in 63, had to leave that newspaper there. And then however many times the house has been sold in the last 60 years, that newspaper stayed. And my brother buys it. There's nothing else in the house except for this newspaper. And he leaves it there. And now 6 years later, I move in and I see it. And there's JFK right on the front page. Yeah, I cried. That was a big message. Spirit will wait until you arrive. Don't worry about it.